Hey everyone, patching into today's video. Looks like we're going to get some easterly winds coming up next weekend and into the following week. We'll have a look at the detail on that in a moment. Don't think they're going to be desperately cold, but they're going to certainly be pretty raw, pretty grim weather probably coming in with these easterly winds, probably a lot of cloud, and wouldn't necessarily rule out the chance of some wintry flurries in the east as well. So winter hasn't done with us yet. Don't put those winter woolies away, despite the fact it was a very warm day yesterday for the time of year. Now, if we get on with the video, just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on most pages. Use that gas.com, have a browse through widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through your article and read those articles, and thanks very much for doing that. It's our third birthday today. Gas was launched 3 years ago today, so in celebration, I've got a new competition, and we've teamed up with metcheck.co.uk weather instrumentation. We're giving away a handheld anemometer. It's worth £32.50. It records the strength of wind and will also tell you how cold that wind is. It'll give you the wind chill. So it's a fantastic prize. If you want the chance of entering this competition, all you've got to do is prize draws. All you've got to do is email your name and address to gasworthis@gmail.com. That's what you have to do, and you go into a prize draw when you do that, and we'll be drawing one name out next week, next Sunday, in the evening around 7 o'clock. So got to be in it to win it. Send your name and address, gasworthis@gmail.com, and you may get this fantastic prize. So good luck if you do that. Right, let's start off with the Arctic oscillation. As predicted over recent days, it's gone very, very positive. Yesterday, it reached above 5 on this index in terms of the positivity of the Arctic oscillation. This is the index just here. We've got the negative numbers down here. That's when you've got negative Arctic oscillation. Positive numbers are up here. It went to +5, and it doesn't do that very often. There's only a few days over the past century that it's done that. It may go even a little bit more positive than that over the next day or two. When you've got a positive Arctic oscillation, it's telling you that you've got low pressure over the palm and you're strengthening the westerlies. So generally it's a mild signal for us, but not always the case. Sometimes we can get it cold and still have a positive Arctic oscillation, but generally when the Arctic oscillation is positive, it's a mild signal for westerlies are coming in. This is the observed and forecast chart, the black line here where the Arctic oscillation has been all the way back to November, just here. The red line is where it's forecast going. You can see it is forecast to go a little bit more positive over the next few days. Could almost get up to around 6 on this index, +6, and I don't think it's ever done that in its history, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. Eventually, it's going to take quite a significant drop. It can't maintain that level of positivity for all that long, so you see the red lines here are the individual members of the GFS ensemble, and they're all dipping down as we go through towards the middle of the month. 16th of March is just there, and in fact several members of the ensemble do go really quite negative, would you believe. We swing the other way, and you can get this with the Arctic oscillation. The North Atlantic oscillation indexes that if they get very, very positive or very, very negative at any particular time, almost like stretch an elastic band to breaking point, all you can do is swing the other way, and that's kind of what this is showing, really, with many members of the GFS ensemble indicating blocking arriving in the second half of March over the North Pole. That could be tied in with the chance, at least, of these easterly winds coming up at the weekend and into next week. Not really seeing much signs of blocking appearing on the CFS weekly forecast. So these are the 500 millibar height anomalies, break down into weekly periods. We've got the first week period taking us from the 8th to the 14th of March, and the high pressures in there across the country, most of northern and western central Europe as well. The flow is going into the east with low pressure up around the pole. So that's where we've got that where we've got the positive Arctic oscillation, I should say. But jet stream of flow is going like that. So yeah, high pressure dominates, and it is a very dry looking signal that. And with the winds eventually going into the east, it could turn a little bit chilly. The high pressure remains through the country as we go through into the week from the 15th to the 21st of March. High pressure very much dominating not just British Isles, but most of Central, Northern and Western Europe as well. Again, the low pressure is locked in there up over Greenland and Iceland. So no real sign of blocking appearing with that one. The high pressure is dominating through the mid-latitudes and the low pressure is up to the north. The next week period from the 22nd to the 28th of March shows the high pressure beginning to pull out into the central part of the Atlantic. So the pattern is changing. This came through when I did a video on Friday, when I did Jam Friday. Had a look at these charts on Friday. There was the indication there that the high pressure could begin to pull out into the central part of the Atlantic, just on to allow more unsettled flow to come down from the north. So as going to the latter stages of March, things could start to turn more unsettled, particularly to the north and the west. High pressure is still relatively close to the south, actually, so the driest weather holds on the longest there, but all areas probably turning a little bit more unsettled as we go through towards the end of March. And then into the start of April, this goes from the 29th to the 29th up to the 4th of April, and still that sort of idea with the high pressure going further down into the central part of the Atlantic, but low pressure up to the north, gradually becoming more influential here. So as we go through to the end of March at the start of April, of course this takes us into the Easter period at the start of April. Let's go into that period. It's probably turning more unsettled. And that could be relatively cool as well. The flow is coming from sort of Newfoundland, the south of Greenland, so it's not going to be warm. Quite chilly that, and increasingly unsettled, I would suspect, as we go into the start of April, with maybe turning quite wet actually up in the north. You can see on the precipitation anomalies that the first couple of weeks we're starting off quite dry. So British Isles is just over here in the top right-hand chart, right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. Generally quite a dry week coming up from the 8th to the 14th of March, always wettest in the northwest of Scotland. But as we go into the second week period, the 15th to 21st of March, again, a lot of dry weather coming through in those orange colours, so very dry period then. As we move through, though, into the third week period, the 22nd to 28th of March, and this is when the high pressure beginning to pull down in the central part of the Atlantic. You see that we're losing that driving average signal. Precipitation rates are around average, a little bit wetter than average in the north. And then finally, moving through into the last week, which takes us from the 29th to 4th of April, going up into the Easter period. And, well, yeah, we're definitely turning into a wetter period. It's not desperately wet. Precipitation rates are only around average or a little bit above average, but we're certainly losing that signal from earlier in March for a very dry period. So I think as we get through to the end of March, we do find this high pressure breaking it down. There's no sign though that we're swinging into a block pattern with that over the North Pole, so the Arctic oscillation doesn't go negative on that setup anyway that the CFS is showing. Now this easterly coming up at the weekend and into next week is quite interesting. So we're going to start off with the GFS here for Thursday. High pressure is up to the east of the country already, but low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic. That will bring perhaps quite a wet day Thursday and into Friday. The trough slips away to the south then on Friday itself, allows this high pressure to build in from the Atlantic. Nice high pressure building over Scandinavia. And there we go. As we move through into Saturday, we're in the easterly. We've got 1,050 millibar area of high pressure centered over the top of Scandinavia. All the ridging is going into that high pressure from the Atlantic, and the winds are turning into the east. This is a classic evolution of an easterly. If we'd had this in January, when I know a lot of you want it, to get those easterlies in and get the snow coming through from Russia, if we'd had it in January, it would have been cold and snow. But of course it's March and there's not a great deal of cold air on the continent at the moment, so this isn't going to be a desperately cold easterly. But it's just strange how these easterlies occur in spring, but when you want them in the winter, if you like cold weather, they are very, very rare. It's very difficult to get this going, this pattern, in the winter itself. So there we go into Sunday, firmly in an easterly there, and that's a classic, isn't it, with low pressure coming low pressure forming anyway around the central part of the Mediterranean, and the easterly coming through the country. If you follow the isobars map, the air is originating from somewhere in central Russia, so as I say, if it had been January, it would have been very, very cold with this. And then as we move through inside of next week, we maintain the high pressure over Scandinavia, but we go a little bit more southeast. I think they're dragging in a lot of cloud probably with this. A lot of cloud coming off the North Sea, drizzly bits and pieces of rain around in places as well, and we end up on day 10, which is Wednesday the 18th of March, just with hints of retrogression actually. High pressure is perhaps showing signs of moving more towards Iceland and Greenland. If it does do that, if it gets to Iceland and Greenland, and the hints are there, but it could do, the CFS isn't picking it up, but on that Arctic oscillation forecast chart, the hints are there that the high pressure could set up over Greenland and produce some northern blocking. If it does that, then it isn't too late to get it very cold, actually. If we can pull the winds in from the north and drag the air out of the North Pole itself, then, as we know from 2013, you can get it very cold in the last stages of March and April if you get into the right position in terms of the blocking and getting those winds coming out of the Arctic. Just a few hints there that high pressure is trying to do that, move from Scandinavia up towards Greenland. So we've got to keep an eye on that. The east, as I say, isn't particularly cold though coming up at the weekend. Here we are with the upper air temperatures. And you see there's no real depth of cold over continent. There are pockets of -5, 850 HPA air over the central parts of Europe. So that's fairly chilly, it's quite cold, certainly enough to produce some wintry showers at the very least, and that does move our way as we go through the weekend into the start of next week. You can see those pockets of cold air moving through, particularly on Monday, with somewhere between -5 and -10 generally over the UK. So that's cold enough, certainly, for wintry showers, possibly snow showers in the east. But you see already we're losing those pockets of cold air over the central part of Europe. So as we go through into the middle of next week, actually very little cold air coming through then. Although down on the surface it will still be cold enough at the very least for night frost. The ECMWF is in agreement with all of this. The high pressure is bridging into that high over Scandinavia on Saturday. So by Sunday, we're in an easterly, firmly in an easterly flow, and we keep the winds from the east or the southeast as we go through up to day 10, which is Wednesday the 18th of March. Again, the air with that easterly is not desperately cold, but there are pockets of cold-ish air coming through. So on Saturday, for instance, there's a pocket of -5, 850 HPA air over Germany, and that air does eventually move in to the country. It takes quite a while, but eventually it does turn rather cold as we move through into the start of next week. Certainly cold enough for wintry showers, probably cold enough for snow showers on the eastern side. Doubt they'll amount to too much because the sun is getting stronger by the day now, of course, so it'll be quite quickly melting. But it's certainly going to be notable that the temperatures will be taking a drop, I think, at the weekend and into the start of next week with that easterly flow. It will be cold enough to make it feel pretty raw, especially on the east side. I would suspect there'll be a lot of cloud dragged in with it as well, so generally not very pleasant conditions. But if we'd had this a couple of months ago, well, we will probably be preparing to plunge into the freezer. But there we go. We can't get it in January. We often get these easterlies in March and April, and of course by May they become very cold, but by May they actually start dragging quite warm there. So that's how it's looking. Don't forget to enter the competition if you want a chance of winning that anemometer to record the strength of the wind. Just email your name, address to gaslovers@gmail.com, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.